Hi, it's Duane Henry Hoefer Lyon, the People's Poet, via Purple Bear Productions, Part 6, Art Chat. I want to share just a glimpse of this newspaper. They did an interview of me on an outreach across the U.S. I threw in a couple photos of the cross and a birthday cake I made for Jesus there, and they published it with the article. So that's an example of mixing mediums. I'm always trying to share art. Here I am in a newspaper at an open mic night, sharing my faith in poetry. Here is a recent outreach where I'm with a cross that I made and left in that city. In fact, I made 3 crosses. So I mix the mediums. Now, I showed you this previously. This is the online version of 3 paintings I did. It's 6-foot paintings. They're a little deceptive by just a picture, that is. But the poem was written for a rock and roll radio station. Newspaper got wind of it. Ultimately, it printed in 8 newspapers in 2 countries, the U.S. and America. So, friends, listen. Art is everything. Everything is art. Art is in everything if we have the eyes to see it. A few more pop bottles. Show this one close. It's called Stubborn. Agave Vanilla Cream Soda. If I pronounced that right. Throwaway. I found that along the road. This was a famous bottling company, and this is just a throwaway of a knockoff of the original Pop Shoppe. Now, boy, that was a famous company. But that's just a knockoff. Now look at here. Via Sam's Club. I had this a few years ago. Tab. Wow. I've got 2-liter tabs, throwaway tabs. I've got the yellow print tabs, the white print tabs, and I've got a can tab. They do taste better now than they did back in the day. My mother drank them. All going to lose weight back in the day. But tab, the bottles read like a medicine chest, really. They really, really did. I think these bottles are beautiful. And I have throwaways from Trinidad and the Bahamas, from Jamaica, Canada, Ecuador, wherever I go, Peru, buy a bottle, drink it, save the art. Bring 3 or 4 or 5 back each trip. Now, when I had a room like I did in Jerusalem, you know, I had an empty suitcase, we could stockpile them, come back with a whole suitcase full. And if I have duplicates, I love to give them away. I've got several friends that give me bottles. This bottle here was given to me. This one I drink, and this one I found along the road. So, pop bottles are fun, and pop bottles are art. Painting, art. We need an art factory in every city. We need more art. We need to stir up our gifts within us and stir up the gifts of these young people and pursue creativity, to pursue imagination. I got in a mold a while back. You could blindfold me and pick some random object up and throw it at me and hit me, and I could write about it. I could write a poem about it. Now, I'm going to be honest, I burnt myself out. I wrote myself out. But I've got to recharge my batteries. Recharge my batteries. We don't hold a charge. We have to recharge. And I'm reading now again, and reading some new poetry, reading some Shakespeare and Mark Twain and different people that I admire. Einstein, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all these people, Sam Walton. And whenever I'm in a Walmart or a Sam's Club, I love to go around the break area and they have posters and quotes that he made. Recently, I was in a little store and found that Sam Walton had come in there one time and used a telephone. So guess what? I got on the old rotary phone. Me and Sam Walton used the same phone. I hope some of that rubs off on me. But anyway, friends, I love you. I want you to think about it and pen your poem, young person. I talked to a young lady today. She said, I got in college and I just got burned out. I couldn't write anymore. I heard things and it just took it from me. And I said, well, once a poet, always a poet. So write your way back. So I love you, and whatever you collect. I was over to some folks' house today, and they had 100 or so regular big old rocks, and they had hired somebody, and she paints their rocks. They got, it looks like an Easter egg rock, so a whole yard full of them. I went in their house, 7 levels in this cottage house, and I remarked, from the road, the house looked like a little cottage I saw up in northern Israel on Mount Hermon, and then also in Sweden I saw similar. I thought, wow, this is a little cottage house. I got inside this thing, man, this thing's a mansion. 7 levels. The architecture, the design, they had half the wall up aqua blue, and the bottom down they had the Jamaican green, and I mean, it was beautiful. Art overload. And man, I come out of there on an art high. I asked just to shoot a picture of their yard art, landscape art, there's every type of art. And they said, would you like to tour the house? I almost fainted. May I, please? And beautiful people out there. And he said, well, you're going to write about it. A lot of people will be driving by here. I said, well, isn't that what you want? You see, as artists, we want to share. Dare to share. Don't leave your poem in a shoebox under the bed. You're not going to get famous as a poet till you're dead. I already made a rhyme. It was right on time, but it is true. Whatever you do, share your poetry. Share your heart. I don't have anything languishing in the Library of Congress. I just don't. I don't copyright anything. You want to use it? Use it. Put your name on it. Go out there and get a big royalty check, and then I'll call you up, and all I want's half. So go ahead. Not going to be greedy, not going to be mad. We'll both agree to tithe, so we'll have 40% each. All right? But, I'm no Einstein. I don't have his mind. I'm just not. But I like to say that I have inspiration from on high down here below from God. And I went on this tour and got in a creative state and listened to these folk and looking at all these rocks and bunny rabbits and everything they had out in the yard. The other day I was riding around and 2 long-tailed fox cubs run out. And I got my little camera out, and one of them just sat down there by the road, and I shot its picture. I later saw the mama, and boy, I know why they call him Fox. That woman could run. But I was up on a railroad bridge and looked down, and about a 2-foot catfish come swimming through, and I ran to the other side of the bridge and watched him swim off. My camera in the car about 20 feet away. One time I didn't bring it, but that's okay. I saw it. And there's so much art. Creation. Go out in the woods. The woods now have closed. I'm going to write a poem, something about it. Just a few weeks ago, you could just see through the woods. Now they just closed up. You can't see through them. Rivers, fish, wolves, foxes, animals, flowers. People are mowing. It's hard to get in the studio with all the mowing. We haven't got it soundproof yet, but go out and take a walk. Mind, body, spirit. Go out and exercise. Go to an art gallery. I'm in an art gallery about 3 or 4 times a week. I have to feed on art. I have to eat art 3 or 4 times a week. I like to get them huge coffee table art books and sit and flip through them. And I recently was at a library, and they said, we're going to give away all these books. We don't want them no more. Everything's online. And they set out a whole set of about 20 coffee table art books. I I almost fainted. I loaded them. Oh, I mean, like hot plates at a church dinner for the shut-ins. I loaded them books up. And they got so excited with my love for the arts. They said, wait a moment. And they brought more and more. And they put some out when I wasn't there. Nobody wanted them. They didn't recognize it. Treasure is laying all around us if we'll recognize it. I'm rich. I don't own a house or home now. But you know what? The earth is the Lord's and it's all mine. You know, I hear a train coming. I mean, I can get on this in this studio, and man, the neighbors fire up the mower. They mow at night, and the train is just blowing its horn. But I love a train. I was reared in Jordan, Kentucky, population 30. And when that whistle blew, for some reason, we knew to run out that door, and Mama hollering, "Don't push on the screen door." We pushed out so many screen doors, running through that door. And finally, they put a glass one up, and we had to be more careful. And then I wrote about it recently that had a bookmobile come every 3 weeks or once a month. And you know what? I got on that bookmobile over at Jordan Grocery, and I traveled the world at 10 years old. Before I ever had a passport, I traveled the world. I read about the pyramids in Giza in Egypt, and the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and I read about London Bridge and the Sahara Desert in Morocco. But you know what? I went and rode a camel across the Sahara Desert in Morocco. I went and camped out on the Mount of Olives in real life. That was my second trip when I went as an adult. I'd already been there in my mind. I'd already traveled there. I walked London Bridge the second time in person. I thought, man, it's such a small bridge. I went to the Queen's Palace. I went to the Eiffel Tower and went to Paris and so many, up in the Alps in Austria. And I rode a boat from Sweden. Let's see, no, it was from Finland to Sweden, and then took a ferry to Estonia. Oh, I've been out on trains where the snow was nearly up to the window in Estonia. You talking about beautiful. That Russian culture. I went to an opera house and listened to opera in Ukraine, Kiev. Recently met a beautiful lady down in Florida from Kiev, and we made such good pals. And her mother still trapped over in Kiev, and well, down in Crimea, and you know there's a confrontation there with Russia. So let's keep them in prayer. But oh, I love the Ukrainian people. I love the Russian people, the Estonian people, the Finnish people, the Danish. Everywhere I went, Iceland, oh, they welcomed me like I was the President of the United States. I was on television, newspapers, radios, rock and roll stations, and they made a little fun of me at first, but in the end, one of the most popular DJs over there, who's an atheist, said, "Duane, I like you." I said, "Well, I like you. No matter what you say, you can't make me not like you." And there are good people everywhere. There's more good people than bad people, and people are living art. I'm still talking about art. I've seen people in Trinidad take machete and open up a coconut. I mean, they're good with that machete. They could trim their nails with it, cut your hair with it. I've been in Haiti where they would put a little cream on my head and take just a razor in their hand and shave my head. First time I ever shaved my head was in Haiti. I got it done for a couple bucks, and I come out, and my partner's there, interpreter's voice. I don't know if you're a preacher or you're in the mafia. But anyway, you know that old saying, I wrote a song somewhere between Jesus and Jesse James. But no, I'm all in for Jesus Christ. We win. There's a poem. All in, we win because of him. Now let's go after them. See, I just can't stop rhyming. I'm a poet. And I know it. Got my chance. I'm not going to blow it. I'm going to show it. All right, I'm going to quit with that. But I love you. Have a good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Share and subscribe so when we do have a new thing, you'll get a notice. Tell your friends about it. Don't think I'm going to be overloading you all the time. I'm not. I'm about to get too busy. But I'm in a creative mode, and I'm sharing and caring and daring you to share and subscribe because I care about you. My email is on all my videos. If you want to contact me, love to chat with you. I had a wonderful email the other day about a lady who watched the one poem on Canada. That's our most viewed poem. Thank you, Busisi. Man, I was walking through Morden, Manitoba and waved in a tattoo vapor shop. Had just written a poem the night before titled One about Canada. Got in there with a bunch of musicians and I just said, hey guys, I waved me in there and the fella said, hey, you was at my mom's church Sunday, and he gave me $20, I believe. And I was very thankful. And I said, hey, I wrote a poem. I want to share it with y'all. And they said, oh, sure. They're musicians. And, you know, every song's born from a poem. They all sat around. I read the poem, and there in the back of the room was a brother from Uganda, Busisi. And I love you, Busisi. Oh, I love you, friend. And he said, hey, I'd like to put that on YouTube. I said, YouTube? What's that? How do you do it? Well, I was all for it if it was an opportunity to share. Next day, I was in his studio, and we videoed that poem, and it was about the 5 cities in my love for Canada I'd been in. Altona, Plum Coulee, Winkler, Morden, and Carmen. Oh, I remember them. I spent 7 months over in those cities. I never met so many kind people in all my life. If you go to one place in Canada, go to Manitoba. Start there in Altona, go right up to Plum Coulee, visit the beach while you're there, go right into Winkler, go by the health club, tell them Street Preacher said hello. Go down there at Morden, go to Tim Hortons and go to the coffee shop and the strip down there in Morden, beautiful. And then go down there in Carmen and visit around. There's so many wonderful people. But then I had other producers, and I got into the art of poetry and sharing on YouTube. And I want to share every way I can. I want to put a message across. I want to make people laugh and feel good and share the gifts that they have, especially young people. These young people are loaded with gifts, and we've got to get them sharing. We don't want to lose this art. And so, yes, there is a beach in Plum Coulee. I walked around that city one day and come up on a couple of pals there, a young lady and young man walking along the tracks, and they didn't know me from Adam, but they asked, and I knew I was a visitor, and I chatted with these kids. Yeah, I was just, the beautiful time I had with them, and the things that come out of their mouths, so pure, and they were such beautiful children, heart for God. They're living in heaven on earth right there in Plum Coulee. And let me do a shout out to my Bloomingard friends, the Hutterites. James, I love you, man. Oh, I miss those Hutterites. They took me in like I was one of their own. Reverend Ike, all the people there out at my colony. I love all of you. The food, I think I gained 40 pounds in Canada. I walked half Canada, but I ate half of it. It was half the size when I left there. Oh, I'm excited. Let me get off here. I love you. Talk to you soon.